October 23, 2009, 9:47 p.m. Highway 93 South, 34 kilometers north of Jasper, Alberta. Temperature -3 degrees Celsius. Sarah Mitchell checks her fuel gauge, 3/4 full, enough to reach Calgary. She's driving a 2007 Honda Civic, 4-cylinder engine, 140 horsepower, reliable for the 287-kilometer drive she makes twice monthly visiting her mother. The highway is empty, no headlights ahead, no taillights behind, just her, the road, and the darkness pressing against her windows. She's 31 years old, registered nurse, driven this route 47 times in 2 years, always during daylight, always planned to avoid night driving on this specific stretch. But her shift ran late, emergency patient, she couldn't leave. And now she's here, on the section locals call the killing corridor, driving through darkness she swore she'd never enter. Her headlights catch something ahead. Not an animal, not a person, just movement. Shadow crossing the road where no shadow should exist. She slows from 110 kilometers per hour to 80. The movement stops, disappears. She accelerates back to 110. Her hands tighten on the wheel. Then her engine dies. Completely. Instantly. No sputter, no warning, just silence. The headlights go dark. Instrument panel goes black. She's coasting at 110 kilometers per hour in total darkness on a mountain highway with a 200-meter cliff on her right side. She has approximately 15 seconds before the car stops. 15 seconds to navigate a winding mountain road without lights, without power steering, without knowing if another vehicle is approaching from behind. And she's starting to understand why nobody drives Highway 93 after dark. Highway 93 runs 287 kilometers through the Canadian Rockies. From Jasper, Alberta to the Trans-Canada Highway near Castle Junction, elevation ranges from 1,067 meters to 288 meters. The road crosses 3 mountain passes, follows the Athabasca and Sunwapta rivers, and cuts through Jasper National Park and Banff National Park. During daylight, it's spectacular. Tourism brochures call it one of the world's most scenic drives. During darkness, it becomes something else. The statistics tell part of the story. Between 98 and 23, Highway 93 documented 87 fatal accidents. That's an average of 3.5 deaths per year on 287 kilometers. The provincial average for similar highways, 0.8 deaths per year per comparable distance. Highway 93's fatality rate is 437% higher than expected, but the statistics don't explain the pattern. Of those 87 fatal accidents, 73 occurred between sunset and sunrise. That's 84%. During those same hours, traffic volume is only 23% of daily total. Statistically, night driving on Highway 93 is 647% more dangerous than day driving. Weather doesn't explain it. Fatal accidents happen in clear conditions and storms, summer and winter, with equal frequency. Driver error doesn't explain it. Experienced local drivers crash at the same rate as tourists. Something else is happening. Time 700 msr, and it started in 1952. The first documented incident was July 17, 1952. Driver, James McLeod, age 43, truck driver from Edmonton, driving southbound at approximately 10:30 p.m. Weather, clear, temperature 14 degrees Celsius, visibility unlimited. James was found at 6:23 a.m. on July 18th. His truck had left the highway, traveled 47 meters, and struck a tree. James died on impact. The investigation found no mechanical failure, no evidence of animals on the road, no skid marks indicating emergency braking. The truck simply left the highway at full speed and hit the tree. The unusual detail, James's logbook. Truck drivers in 1952 were required to maintain detailed logs documenting routes, times, rest stops. James's final entry, written at 10:11 p.m., Highway 93, kilometer 127. Something on road, slowing to investigate. No subsequent entries. The truck crashed at approximately kilometer 134, 7 kilometers past his last log entry. The investigation concluded James saw something, logged it, continued driving, then crashed 7 kilometers later for unknown reasons. Second incident, September 3rd, 1954. Driver, Margaret Chen, age 29, traveling to Seoul. Jasper, found unconscious in her vehicle at 7:45 a.m., parked halfway off the highway at kilometer 156. She regained consciousness at 11:30 a.m. She remembered driving, remembered seeing headlights approaching, remembered nothing after that. Her car showed no collision damage, no mechanical issues. She'd simply stopped driving, pulled partially off the road, and lost consciousness for approximately 9 hours. Medical examination found no drugs, no alcohol, no medical explanation for the blackout. Third incident, November 11th, 1957. Driver, Robert Whitmore, age 51. Experienced highway driver, former RCMP officer. Driving southbound, 8:45 p.m. He radioed RCMP dispatch at 8:47 p.m. Highway 93, kilometer 143, requesting backup. Multiple vehicles stopped on highway. Possible accident. Dispatch sent units. They arrived at 9:15 p.m. No vehicles, no accident, no Robert Whitmore. His car was found at 6:15 a.m. on November 12th, parked at kilometer 148, 5 kilometers from his radio call location. Robert was inside, unconscious. He woke at 2:30 p.m. He remembered stopping to help with an accident, remembered multiple people, remembered walking toward stopped vehicles, remembered nothing after that. No accident had occurred, no vehicles had stopped. He'd experienced 9 hours of missing time. By 1960, Highway 93 had documented 12 incidents sharing similar patterns. Drivers experiencing unexplained vehicle failures, blackouts, missing time, or seeing things that investigation proved didn't exist. The RCMP opened a formal investigation in 1961. Lead investigator, Inspector Thomas Davidson, age 47, 23 years RCMP experience. His report, filed March 15, 1962, documented interviews with 38 drivers who'd experienced anomalies on Highway 93 at night. Time Eigfiffichim, common elements. Sudden engine failures with no mechanical explanation. 14 cases, unexplained loss of consciousness or time. 11 cases, sighting of figures or vehicles that disappeared. 8 cases, and intense disorientation or confusion. 5 cases. Inspector Davidson's conclusion, unable to determine causative factors. Recommend increased patrols and driver education regarding fatigue. The incidents continued. The 1970s brought 17 more documented cases. The 1980s, 23 cases. The 90s, 31 cases. By 2000, the pattern was undeniable. Highway 93, at all. Night was killing people in ways that didn't match standard accident profiles. The explanations came fast. Geologists suggested magnetic anomalies. The Canadian Rockies contain iron deposits that could interfere with vehicle electronics and human neurological function. Testing in 1979 found localized magnetic variations, but nothing strong enough to explain engine failures or blackouts. Atmospheric scientists proposed rare meteorological conditions, temperature inversions creating optical illusions, low pressure systems causing altitude sickness. Monitoring in 1985 found no consistent weather patterns correlating with incidents. Wildlife biologists suggested animals, elk, moose, bears crossing the highway, causing drivers to swerve. But most fatal accidents showed no evidence of animal involvement. Psychologists suggested highway hypnosis, monotonous driving, causing trance states. But incidents occurred on varied road sections, curves and straights, with equal frequency. The scientific explanations explain some incidents, but not the pattern, not the consistency, not the 647% increased fatality rate at night. If you want to understand what's really happening on Highway 93 and why experienced locals refuse to drive it after dark, hit that like button. It helps us share these unexplained stories. Subscribe if you haven't already. Back to Sarah Mitchell. Her car coasted in darkness for 11 seconds. She navigated by memory. This stretch of Highway 93 was relatively straight, 800 meters before the next curve. She steered carefully, foot off the brake to preserve momentum, waiting for power to return. At 8 seconds, she felt the car slowing. At 10 seconds, speed dropped to approximately 60 kilometers per hour. At 11 seconds, the lights flickered. At 12 seconds, everything came back. Engine restarted. Headlights illuminated. Instrument panel lit up. She stopped immediately. pulled onto the shoulder, turned on hazard lights, sat for 47 minutes, hands shaking, before she felt capable of continuing. She drove the remaining 253 kilometers to Calgary at exactly the speed limit, never exceeding 110, never letting her attention waver. She reported the incident to Honda dealership on October 26th. They inspected her car, found nothing wrong, no electrical issues, no computer errors logged, battery and alternator both functioning perfectly. The service manager's note: customer reports total power loss on Highway 93, unable to replicate issue, all systems testing normal. Sarah never drove Highway 93 at night again. She rearranged her work schedule. She changed her mother's visit times. She added 3 hours to her Calgary-Jasper route by taking Highway 16 west, then south. Longer, slower, safer. When asked why, she said, "I saw something that night. I don't know what, but my car knew. It shut down, like it didn't want to be there." She's not alone. A 2015 survey conducted by the University of Alberta interviewed 340 regular Highway 93 users. Results: 73% actively avoid night driving on the route. Time at 15's, 89% know someone who's experienced an incident. 34% have personally experienced unexplained phenomena. Vehicle malfunctions, seeing figures, feeling disoriented, experiencing missing time. The local communities, Jasper, Lake Louise, Field, have informal guidelines passed between residents and to tourists. Don't drive Highway 93 after sunset unless absolutely necessary. If you must drive at night, travel in convoy with other vehicles. Fill your gas tank before entering the corridor. Don't run low on fuel and risk stopping. If your vehicle malfunctions, stay inside, lock doors, don't. Investigate. If you see something on the road, don't stop. The guidelines aren't official. Parks Canada doesn't acknowledge them. The Alberta provincial government doesn't endorse them. But every gas station attendant in Jasper knows them. Every hotel clerk in Lake Louise mentions them. Every local knows someone who learned them the hard way. The deaths continue. Between 2010 and 23, Highway 93 recorded 27 additional fatalities. Patterns persist. 89% at night, clear conditions, experienced drivers, no mechanical failure, no explanation. The most recent, June 14th, 23, driver, Michael Patterson, age 38, geology professor from Vancouver, driving to Jasper for research. Time, 11:20 p.m. Weather, clear, temperature 11 degrees Celsius. His vehicle left the highway at kilometer 167, traveled 93 meters, rolled 4 times. Michael died from blunt force trauma. Investigation found no mechanical failure, no wildlife involvement, no evidence of emergency braking. Toxicology, negative. The official conclusion: driver error, cause undetermined. But Michael's dash cam was recording. Time, 15's. The footage was analyzed by RCMP. The video shows Highway 93 at night, headlights illuminating road ahead, Michael driving normally. At 11:19:47, his breathing changes, becomes rapid, shallow. At 11:19:52, he says, "What the hell is that?" At 11:19:55, he jerks the wheel hard right. At 11:19:56, the car leaves the road. At 11:19:58, the camera goes black as the car begins rolling. The footage shows the road ahead clearly. No animals, no other vehicles, no obstacles, just empty highway. Whatever Michael saw, the camera didn't capture it. The RCMP report noted, driver appears to react to perceived threat not visible on video recording. Cause of perception unknown. The theories continue. Some say the highway crosses indigenous sacred land, ancient burial grounds, or spiritual sites. Historical research confirms multiple indigenous nations used the Athabasca Valley for thousands of years. No documented burial grounds directly under the highway, but the region holds deep cultural significance. Some indigenous elders describe the area as a place where the veil is thin, where the physical and spiritual worlds intersect. Others dismiss this as disrespectful, appropriation of indigenous culture to explain what science hasn't. Some say the highway passes through a natural vortex, an area where Earth's electromagnetic field behaves abnormally, affecting consciousness and perception. Geophysical surveys have found minor magnetic anomalies, but nothing extraordinary. The vortex theory lacks supporting evidence. Some say it's mass psychology, a self-fulfilling prophecy where drivers expect something to happen, become nervous, drive poorly, crash. But this doesn't explain incidents from the 1950s before any reputation existed, doesn't explain experienced drivers crashing, doesn't explain the consistency across decades. The most persistent theory among locals: Highway 93 is simply a bad road. Not structurally. The pavement is maintained, the signage is adequate, the engineering is sound. Bad in a way that defies measurement. A place where the normal rules don't quite apply. Where probability skews. Where something about the combination of mountains, darkness, isolation, and human consciousness creates conditions we don't understand. Parks Canada maintains Highway 93 is safe when driven properly. Statistics show increased accident rates at night, but they attribute this to standard factors: reduced visibility, wildlife activity, driver fatigue. They note the highway has dangerous sections, narrow lanes, steep grades, sharp curves. They encourage cautious driving, reduce speed, and rest breaks. They don't acknowledge patterns that can't be explained by standard traffic engineering. But the people who drive Highway 93 know something else. The gas station attendants who've worked in Jasper for 30 years. The hotel workers who've heard hundreds of stories. The truck drivers who've logged millions of kilometers and won't drive this specific stretch after dark. The locals who have lost friends and family to unexplained accidents. They know the highway has a personality, and at night, that personality is hostile. Sarah Mitchell still lives in Calgary, still visits her mother in Jasper. She's made the trip 94 more times since October 2009, always during daylight, always taking the longer route if darkness threatens. She says, "People tell me I'm being irrational, that my car malfunction was random, that I'm letting fear control me. Maybe they're right. But I remember those 12 seconds, coasting in total darkness. And I remember what I saw before the lights came back, not on the road, in the trees, watching. I don't care if it was real or my imagination. I'm not going back there at Sear." Night. Some things don't fit in traffic safety reports. You can't quantify the feeling that 287 kilometers of mountain highway carry a weight that other roads don't carry. You can't measure how 73 deaths across 71 years might leave something behind that drivers sense without understanding. You can't explain why experienced locals, skeptical scientists, and rational people independently decide that driving Highway 93 at night isn't worth the risk. But here's what remains. Highway 93 still runs through the Canadian Rockies. Still beautiful by day, still dangerous by night, still killing. People at rates that exceed statistical norms, and still avoided by locals who know something that can't be proven but won't be forgotten. James McLeod saw something at kilometer 127 on July 17, 1952. Logged it, died 7 kilometers later. 71 years later, people still see things on Highway 93 at night. Still crash, still die, and the official reports still say cause undetermined. The highway doesn't answer questions. It just keeps taking travelers, showing them things dash cams can't record, and occasionally, rarely but consistently, adding another name to a list that started in 1952 and hasn't stopped yet. Why nobody drives this Canadian road after dark? Because the people who've driven it know the answer that can't be proven. Something happens there. Something that doesn't fit our understanding of roads, vehicles, and human perception. Something that turns a scenic mountain highway into a corridor where the normal rules don't apply, and survival sometimes depends on avoiding the question, what was that, and just staying away.